I had a whole bunch of weird paranoid suspicions about what the hell was going on because there was a lot of stuff I couldn't understand.
Right.
Someone is stroking your it feels good.
Have you ever wondered what happens when two of Hollywood's most influential figures find themselves entangled in controversy? Recently, whispers have emerged suggesting that Mel Gibson has unveiled a hidden agenda linked to none other than Oprah Winfrey. But this isn't just another Hollywood feud, it goes deeper. Mel Gibson, once mired in controversies that nearly ended his career, has reinvented himself as a vocal critic of corruption and exploitation in Hollywood. He has shifted his focus from acting and directing to advocacy, using his platform to address systemic issues within the industry. His recent support for Sound of Freedom, a film exposing the horrors of CT, underscores his commitment to highlighting uncomfortable truths. The movie's success, despite limited backing from major studios, aligns with Gibson's mission to challenge Hollywood's reluctance to confront these issues. Beyond his public support for the film, Gibson has actively collaborated with organizations like Operation Underground Railroad, known for their work in combating human trafficking. His advocacy has extended to international crises, including efforts to address trafficking amid the chaos of the war in Ukraine. These actions have solidified his role as a leading voice against exploitation. However, Gibson's most controversial move yet is his indirect accusation against Oprah Winfrey. He has suggested that Oprah, one of the most influential figures in media, is complicit in a system that preys on vulnerable individuals. His claims link her to high-profile figures like Jeffrey Epstein and Harvey Weinstein, both of whom have become symbols of systemic abuse and power in Hollywood. Gibson implies that such associations, whether deliberate or circumstantial, reflect a larger culture of silence and complicity among the elite. These bold allegations have reignited debates about Hollywood's dark underbelly, where powerful figures often escape accountability due to tightly knit networks of influence. Gibson's transformation into a vocal critic has been polarizing. While some applaud his courage to speak out, others view his claims with skepticism. Regardless, his willingness to challenge influential figures like Oprah has brought renewed attention to long-standing issues of exploitation and corruption in Hollywood. His message is clear and provocative. The culture of silence must end, and those complicit, directly or indirectly, must be held accountable. Sound of Freedom, a low-budget thriller starring Jim Caviezel, has defied all odds to become a cultural and box office phenomenon. The film delves into the grim reality of CT, following the gripping story of a federal agent who leaves his job to rescue children from traffickers in Colombia. Its raw depiction of a harrowing global issue struck a chord with audiences, helping it earn an astounding $250 million globally on a modest $14.5 million budget. This success came despite a lack of support from major studios and limited marketing, suggesting its message resonated with viewers who felt the issue was too important to ignore. However, the film's journey to the spotlight has been steeped in controversy. Critics were quick to link it to conspiracy theories, particularly those associated with QAnon, which alleges the existence of a global elite involved in nefarious activities, including trafficking. While the filmmakers have consistently denied any connection to such narratives, the parallels between the movie's themes and the QAnon narrative made it a lightning rod for debate. Some argued the film unwittingly reinforced these conspiracy theories, while others viewed it as a brave attempt to confront an uncomfortable truth. What fueled further speculation was Hollywood's apparent reluctance to embrace the film. Major streaming platforms like Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon reportedly passed on the opportunity to promote or host it, raising questions about whether the industry sought to suppress its message. This lack of support, coupled with criticism from certain media outlets, led to accusations that the movie was being deliberately sidelined due to its focus on a topic that challenged Hollywood's power structures. Supporters of Sound of Freedom argue that its success represents a growing demand for stories that confront real-world issues, even if they make audiences uncomfortable. Its ability to spark conversations about child trafficking, a topic often ignored by mainstream media, underscores the importance of films that prioritize substance over spectacle. Despite the controversies, the movie's impact cannot be denied. It has forced both Hollywood and the public to grapple with the harsh realities of CT and the systemic silence that enables it. Hollywood's darker side has been exposed repeatedly, revealing a troubling culture of abuse, exploitation, and corruption among the entertainment industry's most powerful figures. The scandals involving Jeffrey Epstein and Harvey Weinstein marked a turning point, exposing an intricate web of wrongdoing among elites and sparking global conversations about accountability. Epstein's trafficking network, which involved high-profile individuals across various industries, raised unsettling questions about the influence and immunity of the wealthy. His controversial death in custody only deepened suspicions about the extent of his connections and the lengths some would go to protect those implicated. Harvey Weinstein's downfall further illuminated systemic abuse within Hollywood. Dozens of women, from aspiring actresses to A-list stars, came forward with harrowing accounts of harassment and assault, many detailing years of silence enforced by non-disclosure agreements and fear of retaliation. Weinstein's conviction was a landmark moment in the #MeToo movement, yet it also underscored just how long such behavior had been allowed to fester unchecked. Amid these revelations, Oprah Winfrey's associations with both men have drawn significant backlash. Although she has publicly condemned their actions, critics have pointed to her past connections with Epstein and Weinstein, questioning her judgment and the extent of her awareness. Oprah's ties to Brazilian spiritual healer John of God have further complicated her reputation. Once lauded as a figure of hope and healing, John of God was later convicted of sexual exploitation and abuse, with survivors alleging he used his position of influence to prey on vulnerable women. Oprah's high-profile endorsement of him at the height of his career has been scrutinized in light of these revelations. Adding to the controversy are incidents at Oprah's Leadership Academy in South Africa. Established as a beacon of empowerment for underprivileged girls, the school has been marred by troubling reports of abuse and violence. Allegations of misconduct by staff members, including cases of ESA, have cast a shadow over Oprah's otherwise celebrated philanthropic efforts. While she has taken steps to address these incidents, critics argue that the repeated failures in oversight raise questions about her judgment and responsibility as a leader. Together, these connections paint a complex picture of Hollywood's elite, where power and influence often overshadow accountability. The scandals involving Epstein, Weinstein, and others have not only exposed individuals, but also the systemic structures that allow such behavior to thrive. For figures like Oprah, the challenge lies in reconciling their public image as champions of progress with the reality of their associations, intentional or otherwise, with some of the industry's most notorious figures. These revelations continue to fuel skepticism about how deep Hollywood's rot goes, and whether true accountability is possible in a system designed to protect its own. These revelations intersect with a larger narrative of exploitation in Hollywood. From the tragic stories of Judy Garland and Corey Haim to the pervasive abuse of child actors, the entertainment industry's culture of silence protects its most powerful players. Non-disclosure agreements, retaliations, and deep connections between elites and political figures ensure that many truths never see the light of day. Amid this backdrop, Mel Gibson's evolution as a public figure is striking. Once mired in his own controversies, he has since dedicated himself to personal redemption through therapy and sobriety. His collaborations with Tim Ballard and organizations like Operation Underground Railroad highlight his commitment to combating HT, even extending his efforts to crises like the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Yet, Mel Gibson's accusations against Oprah Winfrey remain a critical flashpoint in the broader conversation about power and complicity in Hollywood. The question at the center of this controversy is unsettling. How can someone as celebrated for philanthropy and social progress as Oprah be implicated in such systemic issues? Her public image, built on decades of empowering stories, charitable initiatives, and cultural milestones, stands in stark contrast to the allegations suggesting a darker reality. Gibson's claims, while indirect and largely speculative, tap into a growing unease about how wealth and influence can obscure accountability. Allegations against Oprah suggest complicity, not necessarily in direct actions, but in fostering or benefiting from systems that exploit vulnerable individuals. Her connections to figures like Jeffrey Epstein, Harvey Weinstein, and Brazilian spiritual healer John of God, though not criminal in themselves, raise questions about her judgment and the circles of power she operates within. These accusations aren't just about one person, they highlight a much larger systemic issue. Hollywood's elites, often insulated by immense wealth and influence, operate within a framework that protects its own. Whether it's through CT, abuse, or harassment, individuals at the top wield power that allows them to sidestep accountability, often at the expense of the most vulnerable. Non-disclosure agreements, legal settlements, and the threat of professional blacklisting are tools used to maintain silence and preserve reputations. For many, Oprah symbolizes the best of what Hollywood can offer a self-made icon who broke barriers and championed marginalized voices. But the allegations against her force a reevaluation of how even the most celebrated figures can be enmeshed in systems of exploitation, whether knowingly or unknowingly. It raises uncomfortable questions about how much accountability public figures bear for their associations and actions within these power structures. Gibson's accusations underscore the uncomfortable truth that no one in a position of immense power is above scrutiny. Whether through active involvement or passive complicity, the systems that enable exploitation require enablers at every level. As these conversations continue, they expose the deep flaws in industries like Hollywood, where the line between influence and accountability is often blurred, leaving the most vulnerable to pay the price. This reckoning forces society to confront not only individual actions, but the systemic protections that allow exploitation to thrive unchecked. This all ties back to the cultural shifts brought about by the Me Too movement. Brave survivors like Rose McGowan, Reese Witherspoon, and Selma Blair have exposed the entertainment industry's systemic problems, though many faced professional and personal consequences for speaking out. While the movement brought significant progress, it also revealed the difficulty of holding powerful figures accountable in a tightly controlled system. In the end, the story of Sound of Freedom and the ongoing controversies surrounding figures like Mel Gibson and Oprah Winfrey force us to confront uncomfortable truths. How far are we willing to go to expose corruption and support efforts to combat exploitation? One thing is clear: the silence that protects the powerful must be broken, and films like Sound of Freedom serve as a call to action.